Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to say when we look at these promotions, a lot of times we get what we want, but also we don't. For the simple fact that we get this feeling of rushing or rushness. Not that they put a 10-pound chicken into a 5-pound bag. We just get the sense that they're doing all right, but then it's like rushed. This is the sense I get from the show. The show is rushed. When you look at the opening segment, it didn't feel rushed. It felt alright. But I felt, at least to me personally, that Magnus should have been the one that should have came out first. Not to embezzle or to embridle a Kurt Angle. But it should have been to bring himself up. But I can understand the reason why they did it. If Magnus had came out, I doubt they would let him be able to raise himself up without having to do Kurt Angle first. In this case, Kurt Angle did alright, trying to at least somewhat deal with Magnus. But I really felt Magnus should have been shining a lot brighter than he was. But then when we get Robert Roode involving in it, and it just, I'll give it to you like this. It felt that it wasn't rushed, but it just didn't feel really that good for me personally. Now, the matches that felt rushed, I'm going to say it right now. Hardy and Roode, tables match felt rushed. I'm sorry. It felt like there were segments of that match that were just missing because they had to just skip it. It was still an okay match, and in the end, it was Jeff Hardy who won by kicking Roode out of the ring and into a table. But I felt there could have been an extra 10 minutes and not extra 10 minutes, an extra 5 or 8 minutes of match that should have been there. It just felt too short. The next match that felt very, very rushed was Gail Kim versus Laura Dennis. Now, I never heard of Laura Dennis. She kind of looks like someone familiar. I can't put my finger on who she looks very familiar as. But when you see her, she looks like, unlike the person that was before. And I just felt that she felt awkward in there. I know a lot of people said she felt rushed. And in many cases, she was rushed. This woman didn't feel rushed. She looked like she could perform very well. And it looks like in this respect, she really could have had an extra minute or two, yes. But she didn't look like she botched. There's the difference. The lady before, I can't remember her name. I don't know why. I'm very sorry, ladies and gentlemen. The lady before, who's probably one hell of a great wrestler. And I've heard someone say that she is really good, but she just felt rushed and couldn't get used to it. To me, she felt like she botched more than she was being rushed. There are people who can botch when they're not rushed and botch when they do because they can't handle the pressure. This woman, Laura Dennis, didn't look like she was botching. She was rushed. Yes, the match was too short. But she didn't, to me, feel like she botched. Even though she had the job, I felt a lot more comfortable with her than the previous woman. And what do we get from this match? ODB versus Lady Tappa. And I don't understand why ODB's got to run down to the ring in her boots. It would have been better if she was running with sneakers. Because I felt that it just... I like her boobies. Don't get me wrong. ODB has a beautiful body. She has nice boobs. No matter if you like her character or not. But in this case, I wasn't just looking at how sexy her curves are. I was looking at how effective she was. And I felt she wasn't that effective running down to the ring in boots. Because when she got in the ring, she just seemed a little clumsy. Not because she botched. It's just that, to me personally, if someone's going down to there to do some business, she should have wore some sneakers so she can run around that ring and do something that was good. Now, Lady Tappa looked dominant enough that when this feud really comes into fruition, I will have some interest in it. Now, the parts I'm going to talk about now is Sam Shaw and EC3. Sam Shaw with Christy Hemme. I don't know how the hell they... Oh, man, I love me some Christy Hemme. She's just one hell of a sexy woman, even with fake red hair. She just looks like she should be a redhead when she's not. But seeing this very obsessive behavior type of individual in a Sam Shaw is really good. Seeing that he was ready to rip the head off of the waiter because he went back and forth because he had to ask, really made me feel like Sam Shaw is going to be doing something really big in 2014. I have no idea how they're going to be able to structure this with Christy Hemme. Either she's going to be his partner, or she's going to have to ask someone to protect her from him, and they're going to have a feud that way that will skyrocket Sam Shaw up our asses, which I do want to see. Now the second one is EC3 and his greatest legend that he's faced yet. Okay. A lot of people don't like Earl Hebner. They believe he should never had so many segments in WWE. He shouldn't have had any segments in TNA. Look what happened with Madison Rayne and Earl Hebner was stupid. Because they never pulled the trigger properly with Earl. They never did. But in this case, using Earl to promote EC3 along with his son with Brian Hebner was actually very good. I enjoyed the shit out of this. He's saying, no, I ain't doing this. He's saying, I'm the number 1%er. I'm the one who signs your paycheck. Lay down. That was nice. I did not hate that segment at all. If anyone else hates it, please explain down below why you hated it. Because we're trying to get EC3 over. And this in case, he's supposed to be entitled. He's supposed to be the one that can have anything he wants because he has the money. And this is also kind of going towards Sting. Because we did see Sting earlier. And I don't understand the reason why they're saying Sting had to ask. I don't know why they're saying Magnus is entitled. I don't. I mean, it would go in some way, but it makes no sense to me. Have it for EC3, not for Magnus. Now I'm leaving it at that. Oh, and Sting will be facing EC3 eventually. Now, the Bad Influence and Joseph Park segment. This is what we've been waiting for. As much as you may think that this part of the storyline, what we saw, this presenting of it, was possibly very crappy. We want to see a Joseph Park manifest into Abyss. It's going to happen. And I've said this already. I'm angry that Bad Influence has to be used in this fashion. I'd rather have Bromance do it. And I will be getting them in a minute. 2, it's going to be Eric Young who's going to be there to witness this. Because like I said, when the Monster Kane finally ripped off his mask because he lost his match to lose his mask, it was RVD who had to witness it. And that's the reason why the big red monster Kane got what he got. I'm not saying it was great, but that's what they structured it as. This is what's going to happen with the Abyss character. It will be Eric Young who will directly be the one who will witness it and will be destroyed by him. Now, seeing that Park does not exist, it wasn't that bad of a segment for me personally. I would like to know how you guys feel. But when it comes down to it, how are they going to end this? If they're going to do the Final Resolution pay-per-view, which I believe they will, this is when it would be the best time to end it. Not next week between these 4 guys. Final Resolution must be done where the Abyss finally disappears. I mean, not the Abyss, I'm sorry. Joseph Park finally disappears and the Abyss finally returns. I'm sorry about that. But you get my point. It makes better sense that way. Now, Bromance versus Gunner and Storm with Zema Ion still in tow. As much as that's annoying, it actually goes with the characters. I am not fond of Bromance. I don't give a fuck about Bromance. I hate Bromance. But having a Zema Ion makes sense. As much as nobody cares about them. They're trying to push them to make them credible. They need a DJ. He has to look. He thinks he's pretty. In the end, what did we get? It felt a little... It didn't feel that rushed. Actually, I'm very glad it was too long, actually. The match was a little too long for me personally. But in the end, Gunner beats the shit out of Robbie E because he spits in his face a beer. And this just makes the frustration between these two even more apparent. But I'm not getting the sense who's the face and who's the heel there. I'm not. And this is what TNA is screwing up. They need to turn one of them heel to make this work. If they don't turn James Storm heel and leave Gunner face, we're going to have a very nasty situation on our hands where it'll be another Crimson versus Matt Morgan where it made no damn sense. Now, the segment with, I guess I'll just move on to the final match. Angle versus Magnus. It also felt rushed to me. I just felt like there was an extra 5 minutes in there. Was it a bad match? Not totally, actually it wasn't. It was a last man standings match. It is what it is. But it wasn't that bad of a match. But here's the thing. It still felt rushed. It just didn't feel like it was right. And when Robert Roode came in to help Magnus, and it was inadvertently, so he can screw over Angle, Magnus now wins. Hardy comes out after Roode is still kicking Angle's ass, and then we have the stare down. Am I interested in seeing Magnus versus Hardy? Yes, I am. I want to see how they're going to make Magnus look good. This has to be about Magnus. This cannot be about Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles. It is much better for the company to have Magnus versus AJ. If they go AJ versus Hardy, it would sound like it would be better, but it wouldn't. In my humble perspective, we need someone with new blood facing someone who is the face of the company. And that's how it would make it much better. Particularly that if Magnus wins and then he wins the title from AJ, it would really skyrocket Magnus, who really needs it. And finally, the AJ segment with Dixie and Rockstar Spud. Rockstar Spud is entertaining as hell as chief of staff, Rockstar Spud is actually very good in this position. I am not bored with Rockstar Spud. I want to see more of him doing this. Even though it is stereotypical of using a British man or woman in that type of position, he's doing it well, and that's all that matters. So seeing AJ's title supposed to come back to the Dixie train really is a good thing. But when we get the fake title, and then AJ after that saying, you know what? You're not getting this title. If you want it, come down to the damn trailer park and take it, bitch. But you better be careful because you better watch your back. That means we're going to have some interest in the trailer park. I don't know what type, but we'll have some interest. The last thing I'm going to talk about simply is the feast or fire gimmick. I left this last because I just wanted to say this. This is interesting except for one problem. There are 4 cases and there were 4 titles. X Division, World Champion, Tag Team Champions. Where the fuck is the TV title? There are 4 cases where there's only the X Division, television, no. Tag Team, yes. World, yes. And the firing briefcase. What the fuck happened to the TV title? Why won't they bring it back? They need it. They need a mid-card title. But they're not doing it. I'll say this. It's a very interesting concept. And hopefully Chavo will be fired. And not get the tag team or X Division championship. How do I rate this show? It's still not a very good show. So I'm still giving it a B-. But I can say that I'm more interested to see what they're going to do with Final Resolution. And not next week. If they do everything they need next week instead of Final Resolution, I'm going to be mad as hell. But I'm hoping it'll work out. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane view and subscribe and comment to my channel. I'm very sorry that this has been late. I've told you before, I have a lot of things that's going on. And this month is very hectic. I'm sorry it's a couple of days late. So I will try my best to try and get these things out earlier. You guys have a good day.